So, welcome everyone to our final week of our chakra journey. Tonight, we're going to do other chakras. So, when I researched other chakras, there are a ton that there's a ton of different schools of thought. A lot of them have the same eighth chakra and earth star chakra, and then there's sort of different variations. Even though there's some groups that have a Sanskrit name for the chakra, I'm not completely positive that these were in any of the ancient Hindu documents, but I could be wrong. I just think that these are the Sanskrit words for the energies that people are trying to convey in these different chakras. However, I do believe in these other chakras, whether they are dimensions of us or like a ladder of ascension for us or states of being. But I also know that there's something, have you guys heard of human design? So
I don't know what it is.
okay.
I might have heard the term, but I don't know what it is.
So human design is a gentleman. Oh, I wish I knew his name off the top of my head, but human design is a gentleman channeled all of human design, and it's a combination of astrology and the chakra system and Shinto, the sticks. I forgot what that's called as well, but it's these different, it's sort of a perennial philosophy. And instead of doing your star chart, your astrology star chart in a Western sense, you can use this human design, and it sort of incorporates all of these different pieces. And one of the things he said was there's more chakras than the 7 chakras, because as a human race, as a species, we have evolved, and there's just more energy centers to us. So he has a pretty huge following. I just want to look up his name so that we have it. But if you can get your human design chart done, that's actually really incredibly interesting. Ra Uru Hu. However, his name, his original name was Alan Robert Krakauer. So he created human design after a mystical experience he had in 1987. And I love people who do human design readings. I have the book. There's one major book you can get, and you can figure out your chart online, but it's all about reading the connections. There's so much involved in human design. So you can get your reading for free on Jovian Archive. And I've also heard people say they don't love Jovian Archive. I feel like until I am a professional human design reader, Jovian Archive is like totally acceptable for me, but I think that's his network. So that's a pretty cool thing. However, I do like the idea that we're embodying more chakras, which is why I like looking at these other chakras. I also want to say that the chakra system I love the most is one that Leah Steele taught me when we were going through one of her programs. So Leah Steele is who did the spiral for me the first time, and before I went to get trained on the spiral myself.
How do you spell her last name?
Steele, Steele. So
okay.
She does a lot of abundance and prosperity work. So I was in her mastermind in, I think, 2018. It was quite some time ago, but one of the things that we did in her programs was I liked the way that she mapped out the different chakras. So I tried to bring in some other names, but it's a 13 chakra system, but one of the chakras is 0. So that's 0 and then 1 through 12. So we've already done 1 through 7. And I will bring this up so that you guys can see the rest of them. Share screen. Right. So these are the other chakras. And these are pretty boring slides, but I wanted to make sure I had as much information as possible because I don't know these as well. And the one thing I can say about cleansing your chakras, so cleansing your 7 main chakras, that's something you can do daily. That's something you can work on daily. As we get into these more ascended chakras, it's more of a consciousness and knowing if you're accessing that level of who you are. And there are different ways to work with these chakras. I didn't get into too much of that. One of the things we do clearing around these chakras, but there's also stones you can use to access these chakras. There's crystals you can use. I mean, I don't do too much with crystal work, but I think that, you know, if you just have that crystal around you, and you'll sort of gauge into why. There's the crystals, there's sun gazing, there's moon gazing, there's all these different ways to sort of connect and ascend through these chakras. So the first one is the Earth Star chakra. And this would be Vashundara, daughter of the earth. So the Earth Star chakra, chakra 0, is brown or black. And this chakra is from 6 inches to 36 inches beneath your feet. So this chakra is in the ground. It moves in the ground beneath you. And this is probably the most popular of all the extra chakras that people talk about. So this is daughter of the earth, it's referred to. And it connects you to Mama Earth, Sophia Gaia. So what does that actually mean? Being connected to Mama Earth, being connected to Sophia Gaia. It's not just about grounding with your feet into Mama Earth, it's knowing that part of you is always with Mama Earth and of Mama Earth. So it's embodying that energy. And with that, you know, as we go into the Earth's core, which is, you know, this chakra will connect to the Earth's core. This really comes into that idea of oneness. And that's really the balanced, channeled embodiment of this chakra, is knowing that you are a physical, sovereign, unique being with a whole spiritual world around you, and yet you remain to be one with everyone on this earth. It's sort of a deeper embodiment of that oneness. So it's all the energy of the earth and all the energy of the universe. So knowing that you are all these things, and knowing that we are of Mama Earth, and we're on this planet, and we're made from Mama Earth. We come from Mama Earth, we eat her food, it creates our body, every part of us. And then when we die, we go back into Mama Earth. So when you think about all of the people that have lived on this planet forever, having lived and died, having their bodies of Mama Earth and then returning to Mama Earth, that really grounds us into that oneness. So again, then this would associate with, you know, your divine, well, it's more like, before I get into that, this is more karmic cycles, past lives. I really think this is a lot of ascension and ancestral energy. So connecting with the people who have walked on the land before you, connecting with the indigenous of the land, connecting with your ancestors, especially if you're on your land. So this is also your divine birthright. So your divine birthright is, and you know, what is your divine birthright in this life? It's abundance, it's manifestation, it's realizing your purpose. It's all the pieces of these chakras, every part of your spiritual being, your divine birthright. The earth is giving you everything you need to survive. Every perfect abundance, every perfect piece of this world is available to you. That's your divine birthright. And that's important. It sounds hokey, but it's actually really important to realize that you and every other person on this planet is, your divine birthright is all the gifts of Mama Earth. She doesn't give more to somebody else because he can fly people to space. Mama Earth has everything you need there, and it is your divine birthright to access it for this life, being of the earth. This is connection to metals. So the shiny things of the earth, its connection to gold and silver and all the different crystals are part of our metals. So it really connects you to this, all of the crystals of the world, all of the sort of, we talk about earth, air, fire, and water, and this is more in Chinese elementals. Metal is one of the 5 elements, and this connects you to that sort of, that beauty of the earth, what's in the earth. It's the grounding point of all the chakras. So if your root chakra, so this is almost like the root chakra on steroids. So if your root chakra grounds you, connecting to your earth star chakra grounds all your entire chakra system into Mama Earth. Every part of you, all the ones we've talked about and all the ones we will talk about. Karmic cycles, past lives, DNA origins. DNA origins, of course, would be part of that. Ancestral. It connects your etheric body to your physical body. So now when we get into these chakras, we've been talking about chakras that are part of your physical body, right? Your solar plexus, your heart, your third eye, these are all in your body. So your etheric body is that, that which spreads around you 6 feet. So there's so much more to your body than you can see. And this is, I've heard it called your auric body, or this is your etheric body is pretty consistent throughout all of this. One site did call this your auric, which is why it's also called the auric chakra. It's brown or black. I have heard that it's aqua when it's clear. That is, most people just say it's brown or black because it's dark, it's in the earth, it's really grounded in. And when you are grounded into this idea that you are connected to Mama Earth, you're equal to every single person on this planet who's ever walked this planet. And, that includes Cleopatra, it includes Napoleon, it includes, I almost said Jabba the Hutt. I'm just going to drop that because that came in. I have no idea why he came up. I don't think he was of planet Earth, but like tons, and all the terrible people of this world, Jesus, everyone who's part of this world, we're walking this world in human form. So that comes back to your divine birthright and, knowing that you're safe to express your message. You are no lesser or greater than anybody else who's walked this earth. So ways that you can connect to the Earth Star Chakra is doing grounding meditations to connect you into Mama Earth, feeling really rooted into Mama Earth, and really just acknowledging that you have an etheric body and knowing that you can cleanse the entirety of that body, starting with your feet. I love to do meditations where I am grounding into Mama Earth and connecting to different parts of the planet. Have we talked about that in here yet? So like when you, when I went to Mount Shasta, which is the root chakra of Mama Earth, and the Earth Star Chakra, it is a part of Mount Shasta. It's a big part of that as well. And I remember leaving Mount Shasta one of the last times I was there, and I said, I'm so sad to leave Mount Shasta because I love the purity and the energy here. And what sort of came to me was, you can access this energy no matter where you are in the world by just placing your hands on the earth. So it's an embodiment that, we are all connected. If we all go down to that core of the earth, we are all connected simultaneously. So I like to do meditations where I sort of ground into the earth. And if I need to ground, maybe I'm connecting to Mount Shasta energy. If, maybe I'm even connecting to where my children are, whatever that is, it's sort of a way to connect with different parts of the earth that you're conscious of. Any thoughts or questions about the Earth Star Chakra? Has anyone heard of this one?
I think, yes and no, not in as much detail, but I definitely have heard of some of the other chakras. I just
Mhm.
haven't,
Yeah.
had such a good description of them.
Mm.
Mhm.
We have so much work to do in the 7. I'll use my I words. I have so much work to do in the 7 that I often forget about these extraneous ones, but healing your auric body, your etheric body, in a way supports the healing of all of you. So these are good ones to know about. So really, and I will tell you, as I was researching this, there are a ton of meditations out there on these different chakras. If you want to just listen to them and sort of get into a groove of what it means to connect to your Earth Star chakra or any of these chakras. And then you can sort of go to that place where you're healing it. The next most popular one is the Soul Star chakra. And this is your 8th chakra. And this is 2 to 24 inches above your head. This one they talk about a lot in the Sophia Code. So, and it would be something to connect with in the Sophia Code, because the Sophia Code is, about sovereignty and, embodying your divine purpose, embodying your sovereignty, embodying your truth. And we'll see that this 8th chakra is sort of a portal from this, your higher self, really, to bring this information in. So I've seen it sea green or gold. And again, we know that these colors were not in the Rig Veda. These colors were kind of all over the place. In my opinion, the most important thing you can do here is build a relationship with these chakras, or be aware of them and ask them for guidance. Because as we're like the Earth Star chakras in the earth, but as we move up, these are all parts of your divine self that we're going to be going through. So just being conscious that these are possibilities for you, and being aware that they're there, I think, is step 1. And then going from there, researching it if you want, and or really just tapping into what they look like to you. What color are they when you sit and meditate with them? I love sea green. I feel very connected to sea green for this one. This is the chakra of divine love. So this is the chakra where we activate our spiritual skills. And this is where information downloads from source. So source is whatever source means for you. It could mean the creator, God, Sophia, and if you were atheist, of course, this could just mean your higher self. So, but this is source. To me, this is God. This is where God is coming in and supporting this. And it's just the beginning. This, I don't want to jump ahead, but I think that this is the chakra where all of your clairs already work. So we talked about your clairs, claircognizance, clairescience, clairvoyance, all those different ways that we have our intuition. They're here, they're already working here in the 8th chakra. It's just about allowing the 8th chakra to download into your body. And, praying, you could even pray for these things to open up. You're just as powerful as anything else out there. I would say sans source. But I think that, a lot of these things, if you want to open them up, if you ask them how they need to be opened up, you'll get your answer. So this is where you activate your spiritual skills. This is where information downloads. This is where we bend. This is where we start to bend time. And you're going to notice that we're just going to be ascending. This is like a ladder of ascension. But this is where we start to bend time. And I love this because I spent a lot of my life being late for everything. And time is not real. I mean, time is something that exists in this physical world that we've created so that our spirits can meet up at the same time. But time is, doesn't exist. What's that beautiful physicist's name? Albert Einstein says that time doesn't exist. He's a big proponent of that. And I also think shutting off this concept of time not existing is how we age. I mean, there are eras where women don't live, women have such a short lifespan because they were dying in childbirth and, but people had short lifespans, and then there's stories in the Bible and different historical texts where people had lived for hundreds of years. So what is time? And if you think that time doesn't exist, then you realize you can bend time. And we haven't talked much about angels, but if you want to work with an angel to bend time, that's Metatron. And funny enough, this right here, this flower of life, this is like the Merkaba, and the Merkaba is associated with Archangel Metatron. And note, Metatron does not have an EL at the end. So Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, they all have EL at the end because they're of God. They're the original archangels. Metatron and Sandalphon are not of the original archangels. They were humans that became archangels, and Metatron is one of them. And Metatron is said to be the voice of God. So Metatron, if you ever watch like ridiculous shows, I think Supernatural has one of my favorite embodiments of Metatron. It's completely ridiculous, but he is the only one that talks to God and brings information. I do love Metatron. Metatron helps you with math, he helps you with science, and he will help you bend time. So I often will pray to him if I'm going to be late, or if I need things to work out and I have like not a lot of time for things to happen. And trusting here, this is where we start to learn how to bend time. This is your spiritual compass, right? So this is sort of your conscience. This is your Jiminy Cricket if you're Pinocchio. That's what's happening up here. It's source talking to you. It's your higher self talking to you. It's where we're starting to tap into the divinity all around us. You can start to access other realms, parallel lives. This is the realm of your Akashic records. Are you familiar with Akashic records? So this is the realm of your Akashic records. This is energy transference, where energy is coming into us and releasing from us. This does hold karmic residue from other lives. And, a lot of time when we do clearing work, sometimes when we do clearing work of these upper chakras, emotional clearing work like we do on the spiral, a lot of times it's hard to put a finger on why we have that karmic residue because we don't remember our past lives. But we can, oftentimes it makes sense though. So this is where we can move into this space and start to clear out some of that karmic residue, and it just balances this chakra. So it's still, as we move up, it's not about balancing in this life. It's about clearing things out and processing the things that need to be processed to create this free channel flowing up. We can consciously choose to shut this off. So if we completely choose to ignore this wisdom that's coming in, this is where we have really big incidents of medical illness and distortions of reality. So it is this is one of those chakras that we can really work with and open up and allow divine guidance to come through. So that is our soul star chakra. And I feel like I wish I had more information from the Sophia code, but the soul star chakra comes up in a lot of the later chapters of the Sophia code if you're reading that. Any questions or thoughts on the soul star chakra? No. Chakra 9. So this is higher up. All of them are continuing to go higher up. This is also called the soul star chakra by some people. However, the school of thought that I preferred and I saw much more was that this is the seat of the soul. So this is the mouth of God. You'll notice a lot of these tend to be similar. It's sort of like an ascension. This has also been called our spirit chakra, our soul chakra, and our real self chakra. So whereas this one is the first transpersonal chakra, it's the etheric chakra, and the earth star chakra was our auric chakra. This is where we get into our real self. So it's blue, green, or gold. This is an access to your soul's codes. This is access to your higher self, further and further. This is the blueprint of your life. So we often talk about our blueprint. Here, this is where it's the sum of all of our lives up until this point. So if we have all of these parallel, we just said time doesn't exist. So past life is a tricky concept. So here we have this 8th chakra, which is our higher self, you know, like it's not our higher self, but it's that portal. Up here in this 9th chakra, we're holding all of the past lives where we have lessons learned. So the 9th chakra is often where we have our skills. This is where our skills are. So when I think of lives, I don't think of them as linear. I often think of me living all these lives at the same time. So, or you can think of them as linear, whatever feels good for you today. So in this 9th chakra, there's the blueprint of what we're supposed to, of our real self. And this is where we have all of the memory of all of the life lessons that we've learned in all of our lives and acquired those skills. So like in this life, if I have a handicapped parent or some mental illness, if I have a parent with mental illness, or if I have a mental illness, or if somebody dies, you know, when you're young, if a parent dies or partner dies, when we move through things and really embody them and learn the lesson. So if we consider this like Earth School, if we embody the choices that our higher self is making for us to have a human experience, to experience love and enact this blueprint, once we've embodied the truth and we've sort of not just embodied that lesson, but moved through that lesson, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I need lessons like 100 times before I actually move through them and learn from them. But once we do learn from them, that's where they're sitting in this 9th chakra. So this is sort of like the wisdom of all of your lives. So it's from here, this is the Akashic dimension. This is accessing time, hold your soul blueprint. It's also a past life doorway. So if this is holding all of that beautiful wisdom from other lives, when we're meditating and getting into this chakra and clearing it out, this is where we can start to remember our past lives. So I'll give you 2 examples of that, if that sounds crazy. Aleister Crowley. Since I'm opening up the Witch and the Priestess, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Aleister Crowley. But Aleister Crowley was alive in the 1800s, I believe, I think he died in the early 1900s. But he was not a great guy, but he was brilliant. And one of the things he did a lot of work on was going to his other lives through, there's a process we call where you focus on something for a really long time and sort of let your world shut down and intentionally move into intentionally move into other lives. And once he realized if he focused on a circle and it took him to one life, he would remember that circle took him to that life. And he actually, to him, would go to his other lives to pick up the skills that he learned in those other lives to empower his magic in this life and his craft. So the 9th chakra already has all that wisdom. So was he just meditating and moving into his 9th chakra? You know, whatever this means for you. Another person who talked about remembering all their past lives was the Buddha. So when Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, the original Buddha who created Buddhism in, super arguable, but I think it's the 6th century BCE, he creates Buddhism as a rebellion to Hinduism, really as a rebellion to that caste system and asceticism and the luxurious life that he had been accustomed to. He sits under the Bodhi tree, right? He does all these things to try to find enlightenment. And he finally sits under the Bodhi tree and he meditates and he slams his hand on the ground. And in that moment, his enlightenment to him was remembering all his past lives. It was in that moment he knew every life he had ever walked. And that's how he describes his moment of enlightenment, was knowing all of his past lives. So all of this is here. This is in New Age thought and chakra thought. This is all sitting here in chakra 9, all of your past life skills. I would say the difference between Crowley and Buddha, there's lots, but the most important one is the Buddha was probably at a point in his lives where he was enlightened and he had learned all of his skills. So accessing the 9th chakra was accessing everything all at once because he was finished. Does that make sense? Because we're sort of, this is a house of your past lives, but there's also all of the things you've learned and earned from those lives. Does that make sense? Sometimes I get nuts.
Just reading through the slide, I was drawn to where the divine and spirit guides communicate dreams. Yeah, how can we tap into that?
Yeah. So this is the doorway to the spirit realm too. So once you know all your lives, I mean, what's the spirit realm, right? This is where we start to access spirit, where we start to access our spirit tribe. This is where we're talking to those people who, you know, your spirit tribe could be people who you knew in this life that died, but they could be people you knew in other lives and you made an agreement that they would be your guide. They're here. All of that is here in this 9th chakra. Dreams. So when we sleep, our resistances are down and everything's trying to send us information, right? So one thing that I have actually been doing with dreams is making a conscious effort. We know that dreaming is opening up our third eye to be able to see, right? And I can keep a dream journal next to me, next to my bed. And I'm intentionally asking my higher self to, or whatever, to download dreams. And what I do is I will journal my dreams when I wake up because I'll forget them if I don't. So I'll journal something. And then whenever I journal, like the next day, I'll look at what I wrote overnight and then I'll journal on it. And there's always a message in my dream. So that's my immortal self talking to me through my dreams, my spirit guides, the divine, whoever's sending me information in my dreams. It's really about sitting down with your dreams, figuring out how you dream, because I often think that sometimes I'll be in a dream and I'm with somebody who's my mother, but it is not my mother in this life. So then I have to really figure out what's happening in that dream. So that's one way I say you can work with dreams, is keeping a dream journal. And that's the intention for your dreams to come to you. And, you know, with all of these chakras, it's about awareness. You know, we even talked about talking to your inner child, talking to your heart, talking to your sacral chakra. They want to know you're listening. If you're listening, they got a lot to say. But if you're not listening, they stop talking. So it's about being conscious of anything and intentionally saying, I'm ready to receive you. This is the wisdom chakra, obviously, knowledge and wisdom. And it's imbalanced here when we're caught up in our limitations, in our human limitations. So setting the intention to move beyond, you know, your perception of what it takes to achieve what you want in your life. Suffering and hard work, they're super precious. And there is reasons for suffering and there's reasons for working hard and putting the effort out. But energetically, you can magnetize anything you want towards you with way less physical human effort than we think that it might be. So that's when I think of being caught up in limitations, human limitations, like opening this space, like a mad woman, painting, cleaning, doing all these different things. I cannot work that hard anymore. I'm just too old. And I don't want to. There's so much more I want to be doing. So then sitting down and meditating, gathering myself and grounding and deciding how I'm going to stand in my power and delegate things. what I need. I need someone to paint. I found a painter who could paint last weekend for like a third of the price that I thought he was going to paint. And it's about, you know, selling programs, marketing like a maniac, or just setting the intention and embodying the energy of somebody who has people in her programs. That calls people in way more. And that's when we get into this upper chakra work. Does that make sense? It's not just the human work, slave driving thing that we're accustomed to and that we're taught. Hard work, day in, day out. You have the same 24 hours in a day that Beyonce does. I bet you Beyonce's doing a lot of spiritual work. You call in the beauty that Beyonce has around her. It doesn't mean you have to work as, you know, it doesn't mean you have to kill yourself. It's about using your resources appropriately and knowing that what Elon Musk has, you can have. There's no reason you can't, and there's no reason nobody else can. So that's how we balance this portal of wisdom. It's how Aleister Crowley brought in all of his magic. It's how the Buddha is the Buddha. You know, he brought in all of his magic. And it's how you can access yours. So this is your real self chakra. All of your blueprint right there.
I would like to access Nicole's backyard.
When we all, Nicole is down, just so you know, Nicole can smell the ocean air from that backyard.
Oh my gosh, it's so pretty.
Thank you.
Heaven.
Where is that?
I live in Brigantine.
Oh, Brigantine, beautiful.
Mhm.
Really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
My cup matches her chairs, and that's what I'm hanging on to.
Oh.
10th chakra. This is the universal chakra, and everywhere I went, this is called the universal chakra. So this is, and you'll notice, like, as we go, we're still kind of building on all the things we talked about, but we are ascending. It's funny. Well, I'll get to that joke later, but this is the realm of true spiritual essence, your spirit. It's pearl white. This is where we connect with divine light beings. So one of the things I often talk about is channeling, and how there's this massive fear of channeling. There's this massive fear of really tapping into our intuition, because we're afraid of what we'll hear. We're afraid of we're afraid of what's walking around. I love scary movies, and they're incredibly destructive for somebody who's working on their intuition. And when I worked with Colleen St. Michael's to connect to the angelic realm and to channel angels, anything that I had channeled that was scary no longer existed, because my frequency was higher. And as my frequency was higher, only higher frequency energies could connect with me. So an angry spirit roaming the earth, lost. These are low energies, dense energies. The universal chakra, this is where we can connect with divine light beings, where we connect with our angels, where we connect with higher beings. And you don't have to be in your universal chakra. It's just about what frequency you're in. That's why they say you don't drink when you go into circle. When you drink, they call it spirits, because it really is robbing you of your spirit. It's lowering your frequency and lowering your vibration. So when you drink in sacred space, your frequency is too low to call in the high energy that you're looking for, and perhaps low enough to feel into things that you don't want to feel into, even if you've properly protected, and that's fine. But I still don't want to see something hard. I don't want to see something that scares me. Higher light beings will also scare you, though, but I just like to play in that realm. That's where I like to be. So this is where we align our light body with our physical body. So now we start to see this merging. So like this merging of what we believe is separate, but is all one. And I've heard more than once that your body is the greatest technology ever. This skin suit, some people call it, that we're in. This human body, this human experience is brilliance, is pure brilliance. So remember, we still ground into all those, the lower chakras, Kundalini still rising. Those lower chakras all matter in order to get us up into these higher level chakras. This is where you access your crystalline DNA. And this is something we do in the Sophia Code. So in the Sophia Code, when we sit down at our altar and we do the Isis initiation and we do the Green Tara initiation, what we're doing is initiating our crystalline DNA to become our physical DNA. So you have a physical DNA of this body, but we have a crystalline DNA that is our spiritual essence. And we're allowing that DNA to come in and just sort of bust through the physical DNA of limitations. Physical DNA is brilliantly carrying ancestral trauma. It's brilliantly carrying all the things you actually need to move through in order to access your highest, experience on this earth. So we manifest in chakra 10, we manifest the skills of the 9th chakra to be used in this life. So chakra 9 and chakra 10 work together. So the skills of the 9th chakra in this 10th chakra, we manifest them to be used in this life. So we manifest our past life information, our wisdom, our blueprints, all of the things in that 9th chakra that we have access to. The 10th chakra is how we bring them into this human existence. So this is where you are curing your body of things. This is where you are rapidly moving through ascension work because you remember all of your past lives, and in this life, it does these 200 things that don't matter. It's bringing that wisdom and knowledge into this life. When we're in this chakra, when we've cleared up to this chakra, this is when we start to feel invincible. This is when we feel like we can achieve anything. And everyone has felt that moment where you think that there's nothing you can't do. That's when you have a clear line up to this chakra. This is where synchronicities come in. This is a merging of the masculine and feminine. And that's important because where the earth chakra shows us we're one, as we move up the chakras, it's all about knowing how uniform and beautiful we all are. Like, none of this nonsense of men and women and non-binary or any of those preconceived notions matters up here. We're blending all of the dualities, all of the opposites. And this is where we divinely create. So this, again, the 10th chakra is where we manifest from the skills of the 9th chakra. That's the same as the 11th chakra. We're going to see a lot of skills again, new skills. And the 12th chakra is how we manifest those. Same thing. Yep. Sound good?
It's so interesting. I think that there's just not they're just not mainstream at all. Like, not that any of the chakras are, but to the extent that any of them are, we know, like the main ones that we've already talked about. How many are there? 7.
Yeah.
We never talk it's interesting that these aren't more included with the rest of the chakras. Why is that?
I think personally because they're not part of the original lineage of chakras.
Oh, okay.
I think
right.
these were not in the Rig Veda.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that this is I don't want to say I know for sure, but my guess is that this is a Western New Age. I don't want to poo-poo Western New Age because I think that Theosophy and all of the ways we've religiously branched out has created something really beautiful for Westerners who haven't really seen information laid out this way. And in fairness, Buddhists talk about enlightenment. Hindus talk about getting off the wheel of, they talk about, oh God, I use the words wrong, the samsara, moksha, like getting off of the wheel of suffering, because to them, you're trapped in your lives over and over again until you you're continually living out your karma life after life. And the goal is to stop living that life and go to heaven. It's not called heaven either. But in a lot of ways, everything we're talking about here is available in religion. We just don't talk about it this way. We just don't map it out this way or lay it out this way. So this is a roadmap of ascension, but you know, even in Christianity, Saint Teresa of Lisieux, Saint Teresa talks about the 7 mansions, layers of self she has to get through in order to meet the beloved, which to her is God. So mystics, and you know, there's so many beautiful religions that do talk about this. They just map this out differently. When can you hear God's voice? When do you know what God wants from you? So, and that's, this feels like a full-bodied way of bringing everybody to their highest evolved self. The more I learn about Christianity, even mind, body, spirit, that's the 3-part focus that perhaps the cafeteria Catholic didn't pick up on, but there's those focuses. The big religions all have this sort of path of ascension. Even Muslims have their spiritual sect. Rumi, have you ever heard Rumi quotes from Rumi? I know.
Oh yeah.
Rumi's Muslim. We don't talk about that in Western civilization. Rumi is a Sufi, and Sufis are Muslim mystics. And we have taken all of the Quran out of Rumi's sayings and made a westernized book and put it out. Like it's insanity, but all the religions have this ascension. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And this new age, and I don't even want to call it new age, because I think a lot of yogis and I think a lot of Eastern people subscribe to a lot of this stuff too, because it's their lineage. It's sort of a building on their lineage. But all of it is just a way to live your highest and best life. What does your life supposed to look like? This makes sense to me, that we're limitless. It makes sense to me that all things are available to us. And this is a good ladder for me to dedicate myself to. Where should I be focusing today? This linear way of looking at something that's not linear at all is helpful. Does that make sense? Like it really is in every religion. Yeah. So remember that about Rumi. Poor Rumi. Rumi in the 7th century, 13th century, I think it's 13th century, was writing all of this beautiful stories using the Quran. And people would come from all over to hear Rumi's stories. He was this amazing mystic, and he started Sufism. And in the Victorian era, we had English writers, not American, English writers, remove all of the Quran so that they could sell a westernized version of Rumi. And that's,
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
it's very, I mean, neither did I. Very almost upsetting, because Rumi is not a mystic despite his Islamic roots. He is a mystic through his Islamic roots, and that gives a lot of credence to a community that we do not talk, you know, is generally not characterized very kindly in Western society. But I digress. I love telling people about Rumi these days.
So the Rumi quotes that we might come across now have been kind of interpreted by other like historical people.
Definitely.
Like, or they're like, or
It's all in
they're
Arabic.
authentic Rumi, like that have been
Yep.
translated into English. Yeah.
I actually just bought a book. I don't know the author's name offhand, but if you look up Muslim interpretations of Rumi, they're retranslating his work into different languages so that to preserve the value of what he said. And I think that's important. And even like Saint Teresa and all the Catholic mystics and Padre Pio, which is going to show up right here, these Catholic mystics again, it's not despite Catholicism, it's through Catholicism. So there's beauty in all of these traditions that should be honored. You can't love Padre Pio and pray to him and not love the Blessed Mother. That is like, yeah, where he draws the line. So these are the skills that we get in chakra 11, mind over matter. So this is pink or orange. This is divine knowledge and wisdom. So now this is divine knowledge and wisdom coming in. These are advanced spiritual skills. This is transportation, telekinesis, teleportation, instant manifestation. Love that. Bilocation. So bilocation is being in two places at once. So Padre, do you guys know who Padre Pio is?
I'm not remembering. I have heard the name, but yeah.
I mean, nerdy scholar, but if you were an Italian Catholic, you would know who Padre Pio is. Padre Pio is an Italian saint who I think passed away in the early 60s of the 20th century. And he preached in a church in San Giovanni Rotondo in Italy, in the middle of nowhere. I went there. There were sheep on the road. Like, it was in the middle of nowhere. And Padre Pio, people would wait days and weeks to see this man, to come into his church where he didn't allow artificial lighting. He only had candles. And he would give his mass, and people would come and just be healed. And this bilocation, people would come and pray for somebody who was too sick to travel, and he would literally go there. They would have a dream of him and they would be healed. Padre Pio is phenomenal. He's an amazing person to check out. Instant healing. And there's so much I can talk about with Padre Pio. I don't want to consume all of this, but this is a man who was using the skills of his 11th chakra. And this is a man who did it through devotion to Jesus and devotion to Mother Mary. So it was through these ascended masters, if you will, or through these, the Son of God and the Mother of God, if that speaks to you as well, he received these gifts. It's not through suffering, a little bit of suffering, because he was also the only one of 2 people to have all 5 of the stigmatas confirmed by the Catholic Church. So the stigmatas are the marks of Jesus when he's crucified. So Padre Pio's hands and side and feet and head bled his whole life. He had all 5 of them. And they have tried to debunk him so many times. And it's such a great, interesting read. So through that suffering, he did have all of these gifts. I wrote a paper on the stigmata, but it doesn't matter. He's one of only 2, but his gifts were miraculous. And that's what's happening here. This is like the chakra of miracles. This is when we start to get all of those skills, where Hathor used to travel back and forth, but she was in both places at once. That's bilocation. Same with Padre Pio. This is where we're communicating with the highest vibrational light beings, the seraphim, ascended masters, Jesus, Buddha, all of these high vibrational light beings. This is where we can bring that healing of the higher realms down to the earth plane and use it. So Padre Pio was here in this chakra. This chakra was wide open for him. You have to balance the earth and the higher realms. So Padre Pio did suffer a lot of demonic attacks in his early childhood, because, as Colleen St. Michael says, the dark knows who the light is before the light even knows who they are. So protection work is always a big deal for me. But this is where we get into that supernatural. This is where shamans are healing from. Those shamans of these indigenous shamans with this lineage of wisdom. The Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama is Avalokiteshvara, born over and over and over again in this life, knows exactly who he is and comes with all of this. He knows he's in these chakras. This is a history of your soul. This is the programming of your soul. That's all happening here. So this is a cool chakra, if you can get there. one of the things Leah Steele used to talk, I love Leah Steele because she really grounds it in. This is the chakra of agelessness. This is the chakra of no wrinkles. This is the chakra of cancer. This is the chakra of never getting older. This is where you want to be if you want to manifest a beautiful self-mastery happens here.
How far away is it from the others? Like, where is it?
It's just like 2 feet up. It keeps bumping up. So it's in your,
Okay.
I would say it's in your etheric body. So
Okay.
I didn't give a lot of credence to it because in my opinion, we're limitless. Space is, you know, the universe could all be in one atom of your body. What is space? What is expansion? But to visualize it and see it, it's all in your etheric body. So I would start within 6 feet. You know, I did an angel wing invocation with Mary Magdalene a couple of years ago. And so like oftentimes like I'll feel that energy from her, like angel wings coming up from my back, and I can almost know where I am at energetically, because sometimes they're little angel wings when I'm feeling not so courageous, and sometimes they are bigger than my house when I'm really feeling into that beauty of who I am. So they're on top of each other. But again, these could be dimensions. You could see them as dimensions of you. You could see them as ascended ladders of you, or you can start with just seeing them each 6 inches up, 6 inches up, each one. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is my favorite, and I chuckled because I'm a huge Schitt's Creek fan, and this chakra is the divine gateway. And if anyone watches Schitt's Creek, I don't know, Nicole, did you see the episode where Alexis works for a guy and it's called the Gateway, and they're like treadmilling up to the gateway? I feel like did Nicole freeze? I don't know if she froze, if she doesn't know. No, she didn't freeze. But anyway, that's what I thought of when I thought of the divine gateway. Oh no. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I don't know what happened. Mindy, we lost Mindy.
I'm here, but I don't know what happened. Let
Not
me.
you. It was me.
You are going.
Okay.
It was me.
Okay.
I know, because I was telling a Schitt's Creek joke and Nicole was just staring at me and I was like, all right, so let me share the screen.
Okay.
So this is the divine gateway. This is chakra 12. This is the last chakra. It's shimmering gold. Mindy, can you see?
I was trying to make it a little bit bigger on my phone. Yeah, I can see. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is our connection to the sun. This is like the end all be all. This to me is the enlightenment chakra. And I think it actually is the enlightenment chakra, not just to me. So this is our connection to the sun. And I love that because when we talk about star systems that have ascended as planets, like Sirius ascended as a planet and they merged with their sun, which sounds scary, but this is merging with, this is a connection to the sun, our star. This is mastery of soul purpose through the human experience realized. So this is after enlightenment, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. We know that it is through the human experience, the human body, that we ascend. All parts of it, good, bad, otherwise. Everything's happening for a reason. Easier said than embodied. Way easier said than embodied. Otherwise, we would all be enlightened. This doorway to experience other worlds. So this is where you are enlightened, and this is where you're utilizing the skills of that 11th chakra. This is where you're one with the divine. So this is where you have completely surrendered any ego-driven, human-driven ideology of what your life is, and you have completely surrendered to the divine's will for you, your blueprint, And you realize that all of that is so much more beautiful than anything you could have ever imagined in this human experience. This is the ability to become a stargate, a portal to other worlds. This is where you can bring peace and balance and ascension for humanity. So this reminds me of the great Bodhisattva, Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is enlightened. She's Buddhist, but Kuan Yin stays here until everyone is enlightened. That's what a Bodhisattva does. They stay here and they continue to help humanity become enlightened or to ascend. This is where we transcend the human experience, obviously. If we know that the human experience is what we need, it transcends like that attachment stuff, all that attachment stuff I've been talking about, all the other stuff doesn't matter. We know that there's this divine, we are these divine beings. This is enlightenment. This is where you have the strength and the power to create change in the physical and the non-physical world. This is the doorway to the quantum. The quantum is all, all that is, the quantum realm. This is where you have mastery of all chakras. And what that means is, and I would say this of enlightened people, from this vantage, you can clear all of your chakras at once. Like all of this work no longer matters because this consciousness that you are just is always balancing these chakras. Nothing's out of balance. We always know. And that makes me think of like the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama doesn't get caught up in weird, even when he gets caught up in weird situations, he's still doing his work, doing God's work, doing his work, doing what he came here for. And the Dalai Lama would also be an example of the Bodhisattva, which actually is Kuan Yin and other versions of Buddhism, but we digress. So this is where you exist simultaneously in all of your lives. This is also like Archangel Michael. We talked about the angels. We talked about how the angels are available to you whenever you need them. You can call on Mother Mary, and Mother Mary can be here with me, can be here with Nicole, can be here with Mindy, can be all these, she can be at Lourdes praying all over all those people. She can be everywhere at once. She can exist simultaneously. Not a problem. That's what happens here. We can exist simultaneously. We can bilocate like Padre Pio. We can do those things. This is where you actually have control of the elements. This is, oh, not even going to touch that one. But this is where you can travel. And this is where you have all of your advanced skills are manifested and realized in this life. So that is the divine gateway. And that is all of the upper chakras that I wanted to talk about. So I am going to send you, obviously, this recording. And I have the entire spreadsheet I'll send you guys a link to because it's too large to email, but you can link on it and you can download it and save it forever. It's every chakra from the root chakra all the way through today is all available on Google Drive, and you can just download it.